We're now joined by Anthony Roome, the new head coach at Rock Island. Anthony, thanks for coming in and joining us. 25th head coach, Rock Island football history. What does that mean to you, first of all?
It means a lot, just because of their storied history, and and it's been a powerhouse, for a long, long time, and just what football means to that community as a whole is just, there's no words for it. Just super excited to get to be a part of the Rock Island football program.
Before we really dive into what Rock Island football is all about, take me back to high school where you went. You were a Geneseo guy, so you know tradition. You know, like, that's kind of ingrained in people in Geneseo. Like, you play football, the green machine, the winning, the everything. How did that help shape and mold, one, you as a football player, but two, kind of your love for the sport?
Yeah, and my dad was my little league football coach, like, starting off. So I had some pretty intense coaching from fifth grade, into 7th grade. But I think a real shock to the system was just when I got into middle school and then early on in high school, just the passion of the community for just football in general, and the support that you got as a player, and just kind of with the tradition, building that expectation that you're going to go on beyond high school and do great things, and molded your character more than anything. And obviously we did a decent amount of winning when I was going through high school as well, but it was one of those things, like, you just learn to fall in love with the game, and all the little nuances of it, but just really molded my character more than anything, going through the Geneseo program from 5th grade through middle school through high school, and just the entire process of becoming the person I am today.
So you had Larry Johnson as a head coach.
Yep.
You've also had Larry Johnson now as a mentor.
Yeah.
Is he different in either one of those roles, and kind of how he's helped guide you a little bit?
Yeah, so I would say our conversations are definitely a little different now from when, I can still tell him the times where he really got on me as a player. And, I think sometimes working with him now as a mentor, sometimes he's like, maybe there's a few things we could tweak here and there, but I don't want to overstep type deal, because, he's been a successful head coach for such a long time. But just the amount of respect that I've had for him, I'm like, we have those meetings, like, coach, is okay, you can speak your mind, but just kind of guiding me through the process of being, a position coach to a lower level, coordinator to varsity coordinator. He's really helped guide me through the process, and helped guide me through the process and to becoming a head coach. So,
did he kind of show you how to care for kids as well? Because that's something, like, you see coach on a Friday night, and they may yell at you, they may get on you a little bit, but in the long run, everything I know about Larry, everything I know about most coaches in the area, they care about the kids.
Yep.
And he seems to be that way as well.
Yeah, and I think the one thing, if I could put it into one saying, is, like, I'm always going to love on the players, I'm going to love them, but sometimes it's tough love.
Yes.
And sometimes telling you the things that you don't necessarily want to hear, or really, even for me as a high school player, didn't understand at the time. But he really showed, like, how much he cares for you outside of just being an X and an O on a whiteboard, and just being a player, and always checking in on you, and just developing a relationship from you. Even I knew who he was in middle school, because he would come and talk to us and stuff like that. And just, I think that's a side of things that obviously people don't always see, but learning that from him has just been, can't put into words how important that's been for me as a coach.
Sure. So for people that don't know your football journey, played at Geneseo, played at Augustana, coached at Geneseo, coached at Moline, coached at United Township, now head coach of Rock Island. How did each of those steps from player to assistant coaches get you to where you're at now?
Yeah, and I think, one of the things was I saw how much influence coaches had on my life.
Sure.
And, I've always said I go where I feel like I can have the biggest influence. And, I wanted to model who I was and I want to be, based on the coaches that I had at every level. I had some of the best coaches that anyone could ask for. I've worked with some of the best coaches around, and they've really helped me grow, not only as a coach, but as a person. So, every single stop has been a learning experience and helped get me to where I'm at today.
So why now did you feel was the right time to go after the Rock Island job?
Yep.
And had you pursued other jobs before, head coaching jobs, or was this the first one you kind of went after?
Yeah, I think it was one of those where I wanted to get some experience. Obviously an interview process is, pretty rigorous in different spots, but, I always wanted to be at a school and at a community that had the same values as what I had growing up. I can't say enough, speak highly enough of the people at United Township, both Coach Welch, but then also the administration and what I've learned as a teacher being there. But, it wasn't really like, why now for a head coaching job? It was like, this is Rock Island. And, even though I didn't grow up through Rock Island, there was always one school that, when I was at Geneseo, they were like, man, if we played them like this is a comparative team that could give us a run for our money. And it was like, it wasn't why now, it was because it's Rock Island.
You mentioned UT and Coach Welch. You guys were college
teammates. Yep.
Was that a hard conversation to be like, I appreciate everything you've done, but I'm going to the other side. I'm going to beat you on Friday nights now.
So that's what he's like, I wish you had nothing but the best of luck except for week 7. And I was like, oh, I totally get that. But no, and that's the thing is, he's been, I would like to say, my boss for the past couple of years. But the hardest part was just that because we've been such close friends for so long, and we always like to say, I played a little bit of center, and the center-quarterback relationship runs deep. And so it was one of those deals where it was a hard conversation for me to have with him because of our friendship, not because of the football side of things. And I think that's where he was at too, is it's a friend that we finally got to coaching together, and then this opportunity came up. So, but, I wouldn't trade our friendship for anything.
Sure. So what excites you about taking over the Rock Island program? You look over the history. They've had some really good years. They've had some lean years. But they always have teams that play hard, teams that are athletic, teams that get after it on Friday nights. So what was it about the job that kind of enticed you?
Yeah, I think, we've talked about the community basis. I think the school itself, Dr. Ulrich is a new principal, but, the conversations I've had with her, I know she has the best interests of the school at heart, down to the unit office. They're all trying to push for Rock Island football to kind of reemerge again and stuff. And Mr. Evendorfer is, one of the best athletic directors in the state, honestly. And I know it was kind of a new, going from college football coaching to athletic director, but he gets it. And he's supportive of all sport programs. But, when you look at it with the kids and themselves is, obviously having played against them, they still love the game. And they still they care about Rock Island football. And it's like, so you're not coming into a situation where some kids are maybe iffy about how they feel about the game. And playing against them, they've always played hard no matter what the result on the scoreboard is. And, that makes my job easy. When you come in and you start with that, it's like, okay, well, now it's just these little nuances to help, get more focused on the process.
You mentioned Mike Emmendorfer, the athletic director, and obviously he coached Division III up at Platteville for a long time. How much do you want to pick his brain? How much do you want to be like, hey, take me under your wing and help me a little bit first year?
Yeah, I mean, getting any little tidbits that he has is like, you don't have that. You don't see that every day with a guy who has that kind of experience. And, I've talked with a couple of different people. You can tell he still has the itch to like, he's still got that college football coach in him. And he's still drawing up plays. I go into his office and we'll start talking a little bit about some schematics. But even just talking to him about how he handles certain situations with players. And obviously recruiting at college is different, but at some point you also want to recruit your own hallways and stuff like that. And he just, the wealth of knowledge that him and I have gone back and forth about is, he's got the football in him still. It hasn't gone anywhere.
And I mentioned this to you on the night that you were introduced as the head football coach over at the board meeting about patience.
Yeah.
And yes, the community wants you to win right away. Yes, you want to win right away. Will it happen? You don't know. But how much do you have to preach patience to yourself sometimes? Like, yeah, I know I want to win, and these guys are great, but if it doesn't happen, don't consider that a failure. Consider that as growth.
Yeah, and for us with the patience part, that's what falling in love with the process. And I want them to be able to be successful beyond just this year, and go on and do great things in college, and then husband, father, and I want them to be able to take the experiences. And so that's how I kind of ground myself a little bit when we talk about the patience. And when I talked with the players in our first player meeting, I was like, you're not going to hear me say the word rebuild, because that's not fair to the seniors.
Right.
The goal is to go 1-0 every single day. And I told them, there's 365 days in a year. Yeah. So if we're going 1-0 every day, that means you're becoming that much better of a person. And that's really kind of what grounds me when we talk about patience.
Fans, people out there that are going to be sitting in the stands that are watching this over at Rocky Stadium. Let me ask you first about Rocky Stadium. Yeah. How great of a place is that to be able to coach at?
I tell you what, I've seen football games played there. I've seen the atmosphere when it's packed, with those rivalry games. I think I did track in high school too, and just seeing when that place fills up and everyone's gathered around and behind you, that's one of the coolest feelings that I've seen, as far as a high school stadium goes.
Sure. For the fans that are wondering, what will an Anthony Roome Rock Island team look like?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways I could go with this, but the most simple answer is you're going to see a team that goes out there and competes every single day and every single Friday night, and we're going to be a tough physical team, but we're going to be a disciplined team. When you see what we're doing, you're going to see that the fundamentals, the techniques that go into it, I want the people to see this is one of the best coached teams in the state, and we're going to find a way to win games without, maybe some big flashy plays, but that's where that toughness and discipline comes into play.
When you look up on the Friday nights and the scoreboard's not in your favor, whether it is in your favor or not, does that matter? Does the scoreboard at the end of the day matter? Wins and losses matter. Obviously, that's what you get judged by, fairly or unfairly.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, does it matter if the kids are getting better themselves? Like you said, every day continuing to get better.
Yeah, and if the scoreboard doesn't reflect a win-loss, and obviously being a part of some of these other programs, it's not necessarily the scoreboard, it's how we played. I've been a part of some postseason games where you lost in 4 overtime, and it's you know what? There's nothing to be ashamed of. We played our tails off, and it's something that the kids can hang their hat on, and and that reflects on their character. So it's how we played, it's how we competed, it's how we conducted ourselves throughout the game, and and I always believe that if you do all those things, then more often than not, then that scoreboard will be in your favor.
Yeah. Well, again, congratulations to you. Excited for what you're going to bring to Rock Island. Excited for what you're going to do over there. I'm going to say 25 years. You're going to be there for a long time, and you're going to have a great career.
I'll be there as long as they have me.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Good luck over at Rock Island.